Hello students, welcome back to my channel School Success. Today we'll continue with the part 3 of chapter 1, the most beautiful thing. So in this video we'll be covering the complete back exercises, whatever is left, starting with vocabulary section. So the odd one out is the word or name in a group or list that is different from the others, right? So read this group of words from the story: rice, pulses, groundnuts, candles. Which word do you think is the odd one out in this group? Right, so it is candles, as the other words are names of edible items, right? So in similar pattern, what we'll do is we'll circle the odd one out in each group and we'll give a reason for choosing each answer. Fine. So first list is murmured, whispered, crooned, wailed. Right. So which one is the odd one out here? It is whispered. Why? Because the words murmured, crooned, and wailed, they all refer to sounds or vocalizations made audibly, whereas whispered indicates speaking softly or in a hushed tone. So the other three words suggest different types of vocal expressions, while whispered stands out as it implies a lower volume or secrecy compared to others. So whispered is an odd one out here. So the second exercise is the words are shining, dull, bright, glowing. So in this given group, the odd one out is dull. What is the reason? Shining, bright, and glowing, they all describe something that emits light, right? So they convey a sense of brightness, brilliance. On the other hand, dull implies a lack of brightness or shine, right? So therefore, dull is an odd one out in this group. So the third one is wildly, courteously, politely, respectfully, right? So in the given group, the odd one out is wildly. Fine. So what is the reason? Courteously, politely, and respectfully, they all describe mannerism or behavior associated with being polite and showing respect. So they indicate civilized and well-mannered conduct. However, wildly stands out as it conveys a contrasting idea. Wildly suggests a lack of control, being unrestrained or uncontrolled in behavior. So therefore, wildly is the odd one out in this group. Fine. So next one is miserable, hopeful, unhappy, sorrowful. So in this group, the odd one out is hopeful. And what is the reason? The reason is miserable, unhappy, and sorrowful. They all describe emotions or states of being characterized by sadness, unhappiness. So they convey a negative emotional state. However, hopeful stands out as it conveys a contrasting idea. Hopeful suggests a positive and optimistic outlook, indicating a belief that things will improve or turn out well. So therefore, hopeful is the odd one out in this group. So moving on next, we have sincere, genuine, faithful, dishonest. So in this given group, the odd one out is dishonest. Dishonest. And why? Because sincere, genuine, and faithful, they all describe qualities associated with honesty, truthfulness, trustworthiness. So they convey positive attributes related to being truthful and reliable. So however, dishonest, it is different. It has a opposite meaning. It means lacking integrity, not truthful. So therefore, dishonest is the odd one out in this group. Moving on to the last one, we have alien, familiar, recognizable, and usual. So the odd one out here is alien, and the reason is that familiar, recognizable, and usual, they all describe things that are commonly known, expected, right? So they convey a sense of familiarity. However, alien stands out because it is like something that is foreign, unfamiliar, or strange. So it implies a sense of being different from what is typically expected. Therefore, alien is the odd one out in this group. I hope it is clear to you, right? So moving on. So here we have integrated punctuation. What is punctuation? It is the use of marks such as full stops and question marks in our writing. It helps us to avoid confusion in our writing as the reader can make out which words are grouped together, where to pause, and what the purpose of a sentence is. Right, so we have capital letters too that serve the same purpose as punctuation marks in writing. They are used at the beginning of sentences and also with proper nouns. We always write the pronoun I using the capital letter, right? So there are few punctuation marks. The first is full stop, which is used at the end of a sentence to mark the completion of a thought. Second is question mark. We use it at the end of the sentence that asks a question. Exclamation mark that expresses a strong emotion, and apostrophe to show the belongingness, right? So we use comma to name to separate the names or items in a list. So there is a paragraph. We need to rewrite this paragraph from the novel Pride and Prejudice with correct punctuation. Fine. So let's get started and let's try this. So starting with it. So we'll capitalize the first alphabet. The Bennets, it is a proper noun. Bennets were a family of seven, comma, living in England. So E has to be capital. Again, a proper noun. In the late 18th century. And then a full stop. Then we have Mr. M capital, full stop here. And Mrs. M capital, full stop here. Bennett, B capital, proper noun, had five daughters, full stop. Their, T capital, names were, since these are the names, so first letter capital, comma, capital Elizabeth, comma, capitalize the first word, Mary, comma, capital Catherine, and right, so full stop here, and then Mr. capital Bennett, capital, with his estate entailed to a male relative, as daughters were not allowed to inherit property at the time. So Mrs. Bennett, Mr. Bennett was a man of modest income and his estate entailed to a male relative, comma here, as daughters were not allowed to inherit property at the time. Mrs. Bennet was always sick with worry about her daughter's future. Full stop. She, S capital, wanted to marry them off to men with good fortune. Full stop. One day, comma, she excitedly told her husband that neither felt capital Park, P capital, was let at last and taken by a young, single man of large fortune. Full stop. S capital. She thought that it was a fine thing for their girls. Let us check if anything is left to be done. I think it is all right. Correct? So that was about the punctuation. Now, there is another question here, writing a story. So, reading or listening to stories is a lot of fun, right? Writing a story is fun too. So, every story is about one or more characters. These characters could be people, animals, or even objects. So, we tell a story in such a way that the reader is engaged from the beginning till the end. So, here are some points to consider while we write a story. So, first is setting. So, where is your story set? So, it could be a city, town, village, or another country. So, it could even be outer space or an alien planet, right? Second is about characters. Is your story about one person, a family, or a large group of people? Remember that your main character should play an important role in the story. Third is the plot. So, the plot tells us about the events in the story. So write the events in your story in a way that is easy for a reader to follow. Then is dialogues. So make your important characters interact with each other. So include dialogues that make the characters sound like real people. Dialogues make the story more interesting. And fifth important point is powerful ending. So a reader appreciates a story more if it ends effectively. So your story should have a powerful ending following the events that you have covered in the story. So these are the main points that should be considered while writing a story. So taking care of these points, we'll do a story writing session in which I'll be writing a story in 200 to 250 words about a family that faces and overcomes a difficult situation, right? So I've already written the story for you. Let's see. And then we'll discuss how the plotting has been done, right? So the story is, after we finish with the story, then I'll discuss that how all those important points have been taken into consideration while writing this story, right? So the story goes, in a small coastal town of seaside, a family named the Hendersons faced a challenging situation that tested their resilience and strength. The Hendersons consisted of Mr. and Mrs. Henderson and their two children, Emma and Jack. One sunny morning, the news arrived that a powerful hurricane was approaching seaside. The town's people were instructed to evacuate immediately. Panic and chaos filled the air as families hurriedly packed their belongings and sought refuge. The Hendersons, determined to stay together and protect their home, decided to weather the storm. They boarded up the windows, gathered essential supplies, and created a safe space in the basement. As the storm unleashed its fury, the family huddled together, comforting and reassuring one another. Thunder roared and rain poured relentlessly outside. It felt like an eternity, but they stayed strong, finding solace in each other's presence. Days passed and finally the storm subsided. Emerging from their shelter, the Hendersons surveyed the aftermath of this destruction. Their once beautiful town was now in shambles with houses damaged and debris scattered everywhere. Undeterred, the Hendersons joined their neighbors and friends to rebuild Seaside. They cleared fallen trees, repaired damaged homes, and lent a helping hand to anyone in need. Their resilience and unity inspired others, and soon the community came together as a force of hope and determination. Through their efforts, Seaside slowly regained its former charm. The Hendersons and their fellow townspeople transformed the devastation into an opportunity for growth and renewal. Their shared experiences during the storm created bonds that would last a lifetime. Years later, Seaside stood as a shining example of the indomitable spirit of its residents. The Hendersons, their children now grown, reflected on the difficult situations they had overcome. The storm had tested their strength, but it had also revealed their resilience, unity, and the power of human connection. As the sun set over the rejuvenated town, the Hendersons smiled, knowing that together they had faced adversity head on and emerged stronger than ever before. Their powerful ending was not just a physical restoration, but a testament to the unwavering spirit of their family and community. Right, so this was the story about a family that faces and overcomes a difficult situation. Now, let us see how the pointers that were given to us, how we were able to justify those pointers. So, first, take a first pointer, the setting. So, the story is set in the coastal town of Seaside, and the specific location adds to the atmosphere and provided a context for the challenging situation the family faces, right? So the story has done proper justice to the setting part. Then are the characters. The story revolves around the Henderson family, consisting of Mr. And Mrs. Henderson and their children, Emma and Jack. So the family plays a central role in the narrative, showcasing their unity and resilience in the face of adversity. So these characters have also been justified nicely in the story. Then coming to the plot, so the plot follows the events of a powerful hurricane approaching Seaside. The family's decision to stay, their experience during the storm, and their subsequent efforts to rebuild the town. So the events are presented in a clear and chronological manner, allowing the reader to easily follow the story's progression, right? So the plot has been taken care well in the story. Then comes the dialogues. So dialogues are incorporated in the story to depict interactions between the family members and their neighbors, right? So these conversations make the characters feel authentic and they add depth to their relationships and emotions, right? So next was a powerful ending. So the story concludes with a powerful ending that reflects the family's resilience and the community's collective efforts in rebuilding Seaside. So the ending highlights the growth and renewal achieved through their unity and determination, so leaving the reader with a sense of hope and inspiration. So, overall, the story effectively incorporates the key elements suggested, including the setting, well defined characters, a coherent plot, meaningful dialogues, and a powerful ending. So, these elements they all work together to create a compelling and impactful narrative that engages the reader and conveys a message of strength in the face of adversity. Right, students? So that is how we have to do story writing. And I hope you liked the video. I would like to ask you that which chapter do you want me to cover first? Do write in the comment section and do not forget to like and subscribe my channel so that I can contribute more good and effective videos, the chapters, their question answers, back exercises, and other grammatical work which you find difficult and you need to learn through my videos. Thank you and have a nice day.